Welcome back to our Line Opinion panelists. The revamped State Public Regulation Commission could soon have to reconsider a proposed merger between the state's largest electric utility, you knew who that is, that's PNM, and international energy company Avangrid. Now, the state Supreme Court will decide whether to send the merger back to this new three-member PRC for reconsideration. And if that happens, one of those three commissioners has already recused himself from any discussions or decisions related to the merger. Patrick O'Connell made that decision in January. Now, he had previously served as a policy analyst for Western Resource Advocates and gave sworn testimony in support of stipulations for the merger. He also worked in various roles for PNM from 99 to 2019. So voters used to choose 5 PRC commissioners, they might recall. Now the governor appoints 3. And Steve, that means fewer perspectives involved, especially with Mr. O'Connell's recusal. What does the new setup of the commission do for public trust? Should we feel better about this?
I don't know. You know, I supported the move. I voted for the move to have it appointed by the governor because the PRC had a long legacy of electing bozos, basically, and a lot of
at $95,000 a year, you know.
Yeah, and a lot of cases where you know, ex parte communications with PNM and others, and so that's their heritage. I thought, well, this will make it better, and now I'm not sure. And you know, if there is a tie, I don't know what happens if there's a tie vote. I suspect there won't be. Right. And the optics of that is just terrible.
Right. Was this not discussed in certain circles before we went to this style? Did we all get bamboozled here? Is that what you're saying? Or
I'm not sure. Some people warned, the governor would just appoint cronies and stuff. And I'm not saying that's what happened here, but you know, if they just go and vote against the PRC, this new unelected commission, and they go and vote against this decision from was it last year or before?
Yeah. 2021.
Yeah. It's going to look bad, and you know, it just doesn't quite pass the smell test. And
Steve makes a good point here. How should we consider that the previous commission unanimously voted down this merger? Voted it down. Cited Avangrid's poor performance record in the Northeast, questionable corporate practices as the main reasons. The utility appealed, of course, as Steve mentioned or alluded to there, ruling a month later. But in March of this year, the new PRC commissioners joined with those utilities to ask the Supreme Court to dismiss the appeal, kick the case back to the PRC for reconsideration. What are we doing here? That's my question here.
This really looks bad.
Yeah.
It just really looks bad. It's been a tragedy of errors, I think, from the very beginning. The popular vote, the amendment that was passed in 2020 was passed on the basis, like Steve said, that the previous commission was unprofessional, they were bozos, they didn't know what they were doing. Well, upon further investigation, that election was investigated by the Ethics Commission, and it was found that the people putting out all this information about how unprofessional and we need a professional approach was paid for by Exxon.
That's right.
So then we had the appointment of the new commission, in which the Speaker of the House appointed himself to be a part of the selection process. Then the new commission was selected, and one of the members was immediately found not to be qualified, had to remove himself from there, and then a new one was appointed immediately by the governor. And it looks very much like the train is on the tracks for these new decision makers to overturn the decision that was made earlier, and to do so rather quickly, without much public input. Although I think that is a hope that if the court remands it back to the PRC, there will be public input, because without it, we will be, I think, victims of the biggest PR shuffle that we've seen in a long time.
Senator, what does this new commission see in the deal that their predecessors didn't? That's the confusing part here.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's normal for those that, for a utility, I think, that receives a negative opinion from the PRC to take it to court.
Sure. Yeah.
What is not normal is for the commission then to join with the plaintiffs
Right.
in the and ask the court to overturn a previous decision. That's really unusual.
Good points there. Justine, new allegations of misconduct surrounding the merger after recent disclosure of ex parte communications. Here we go again between PRC commissioners and attorneys for those utilities. First of all, for the folks, what is ex parte for communications? Let's explain that first in this context and why they're problematic.
So ex parte was outside the commission process, and it sounds like the lawyers from the utilities were talking to the lawyers from the PRC. I think there's so much scrutiny and paranoia, not wrongfully, and skepticism for a few reasons going back, and that is that as part of this merger, or this attempted merger, the shareholders of PNM spent a ton of money on a huge advertising campaign, and that was 24 hours a day on TV and in the paper, et cetera, instead of coming forward and saying, hey, we are proposing rate reductions. We're going to take this money and propose rate reductions. This is consumer friendly. They kicked and screamed in terms of every concession. So, separation of the companies, no self-serving transactions, rate reductions. When you already have consumer bases across the country screaming that Avangrid is a terror, and then you have PNM, refusing to make these concessions up front, I think there is a long history of skepticism about this deal. And so that's a problem. I'm not so worried about the ex parte communications because these are lawyers talking about how they're going to proceed in this case, whether or not it was a good PR decision or good policy for the commission to join. That's a separate question, but it's unusual, and I think there's skepticism for that reason, because at the end of the day, we want to see consumers paying lower rates,
That's right.
and PNM
That's right.
blew a bunch of money trying to sell this deal
That's right.
to the public.
Interesting points there. I want to got a couple of follow-ups on your rant there. It was epic, right? That was a capital R rant. I loved it, absolutely. Do these one-sided communications automatically amount to a violation of public trust here, Steve? Or are we watching this too closely? Are consumers watching this as closely?
Probably most consumers don't care.
Yeah.
But those of us familiar.
What their bill says at the end
There you
That's
go.
right. And I had a high bill last time. It was,
Thanks for the reminder.
yeah, it just looks bad. It's just the optics and the missed opportunities here, and it just seems like this is just PNM trying to pull another one.
Don't you guys think with all this they should start with a new proposal if it comes back to the PRC and really take comment?
Thank
That's
you.
what they say they're going to do. That's
Yeah.
what Avangrid's point is if it goes back to the PRC, they have new proposals. They have new benefits for New Mexico
You're
that they're going
skeptical.
to be presenting if this is actually reopened and not just reheard or reconsidered.
That's right.
Which is what they're arguing about more recently.
Dee Dee, what do you make of this, another little layer of weirdness here, guys, on this story? We have the nonprofit organization New Energy Economy. We're all familiar with those folks. But we've got accusations. They've rolled out, they have an agenda. Let's get serious here. But very few of the facts they've rolled out in opposition have been challenged. That changed last week, as you might have heard, when Avangrid sent a cease and desist letter to NEE accusing the ED of defamation when she said during an interview that Avangrid and its Spanish parent company literally have bought out judges, bribed judges, end quote.
What are we getting a taste of how it'll be in the future? Right?
Is that what we're hearing here?
Is
Is this how the court case is going to go? These kind of bombs being thrown? Wow, Senator, what do you make of that?
Well,
That's
I mean,
amazing.
and then they throw a bomb back and think, oh, she's a socialist. She wants a government takeover of utilities. So I mean, yeah, welcome to New Mexico.
Well, what's the public supposed to make out of this if we got a
It's
brass knuckle fight going on here with these people?
Well, it's just another saga in the PRC from the very beginning, when it was established in, I guess it was 1999
Right.
or so. It was established as an elected body, remember, because they didn't think that the three-member corporation commission and public utility
That's right.
corporation, I
That's
guess
right.
it was called.
Yep.
They didn't think that there was enough public input, and it was just done behind closed doors. So. Then we got the elected PRC.
That's right. Well,
And
I have
now
a
we're
question
back.
on that. That's right. That's right. Just to finish with this, Steve, it's interesting to me. Earlier the year, the governor she announced she'd create a tribal advisory council that would make non-binding recommendations to the PRC, and this came about after tribal members were passed over, for that three-member commission. Is this a appropriate make good? Is this going to be just window dressing? What are we looking at here with these kind of tribal perspective is pretty important on this merger. You would think this would be a louder voice here.
Well, like we were talking about earlier, another topic, when in doubt, form a committee. And it's, I see it as window dressing.
Yeah.
And, they're perfect. They'd be within their right to just totally ignore anything this council or this committee comes up with.
Right.
And they don't have any real power, and they could have another one of these studies laying on top of the others and nobody ever reads.
That's right. Don't forget, Justine, 3 indigenous groups sued the state, you know what I mean, over the restructuring of the PRC, and the court ruled in favor of the state. So again, where does that leave tribes in this conversation?
Leaves them out.
Yeah.
And the governor has not been vocal on that or on the merger. I mean, I haven't seen any official position. This is a huge deal for the state. I think we need to hear from her.
Yeah. Dee, PRC says it will reopen public meetings on the merger if the Supreme Court sends the case back to the commission. Why can't they just agree to do that? Why does it have to be an if it gets kicked back? That's so crazy.
Well, it's closed,
Well,
but
yeah,
it's
they're not-
closed.
Oh, that's a good point.
It'd be
That's right
it's
again. Sorry about
closed
that.
now. It's been turned down,
Right.
as we speak. But just getting back to the other thing about the Native Americans. I mean, the Native Americans are the ones that works at the power plants in the Four Corners area, and they're the ones that have a lot of the resources that. Are no longer being used for coal-fired generations. So, they certainly have a stake in this,
Right.
and they're not given an official one.
Oh, the PRC. What a journey. Going back, remember the original map with the pie-shaped districts that all kind of dovetailed into the Albuquerque area? It was like the craziest thing in the world, and here we are, still arguing years later. Thanks again to our Line of Opinion panelists. We'll be back here at the table for one final discussion when we react to the latest reporting on alleged harassment and sexual assault within New Mexico State University basketball. That's in less than 15.